Hi, fifth grade. Thanks for joining me again. We're working today on lesson 90 of grammar. You need your grammar book. You need something to write with. It would be helpful if you had looked over the lesson highlights on Jupyter. And we are getting started on page 480. Today we're talking about subject-verb agreement part 2. We're just continuing on from our discussion of yesterday. Our vocabulary today, our first word is innocuous. Innocuous means harmless and innocent. For example, his comment was innocuous. It did not hurt my feelings. Our second word is the antonym, noxious. Noxious means harmful and injurious. For example, breathing noxious fumes made her cough. So those are two great words to be able to use, and as I said, they're antonyms. They have opposite meanings. So today's lesson, subject-verb agreement part 2. We talked yesterday about how the subject and the verb have to agree in person and number. So your verb has to be in the verb form of the person, first, second, or third, and the number, singular or plural, of your subject. Now, today's lesson is about reminding you how to find the subject of a sentence. If you don't know what the subject of your sentence is, it's very hard to decide what person it's in and what number it is and what verb you need. Sorry, verb form. So, just as a reminder, some things that can kind of get in the way of easily identifying your subject are prepositional phrases, appositives, and sometimes adjectives. When we have a really straightforward sentence like the dogs run, it's very easy to see that dogs is the subject of the sentence. But once we start adding more information, it's common that the subject can get a little bit lost. We want to remember that the subject of the sentence is who or what the sentence is about. So, the suggestion is that if you are having a little bit of trouble deciding which verb form to use, you should use a simple diagram and diagram the simple subject of your sentence, and then you should be able to match it to the correct simple verb. So, this is also really helpful when you have the subject and the verb order reversed. So, in most sentences, the subject comes first, the verb comes second. But in some sentences, in interrogative sentences, we often have a helping verb at the beginning of the sentence and the subject comes next. Or some sentences are just structured differently where the subject is at the end and the verb is at the beginning. So, again, we just want to be aware that the subject is who or what the sentence is about. And it's very unlikely that you're going to find that in a prepositional phrase. The subject of a sentence is most likely not going to be possessive because that's the wrong noun case. Things like that. So we're just going to do a little bit of practice. If you look at page 482, so we've got some sentences and we're going to pick the correct verb form to match our subject after we find our subject. So we're starting with A. In the scrapbook were pictures of my mother. So we want to make sure that we know what the subject of the sentence is. We've talked a lot about how we don't say that the subject of the sentence is the noun because there's lots of different nouns in our sentences and they function in a lot of different ways. The subject is who or what the sentence is about. So in this sentence, we have two prepositional phrases, in the scrapbook and of my mother. And we know that neither of those is the subject of the sentence. None of the words in there are the subject of the sentence because prepositional phrases are not subjects. So that leaves us with pictures. Pictures is the subject of the sentence. Since pictures is plural, we want to pick were. In the scrapbook were pictures of my mother. See? For sentence B, on the road to the small town were 2 gas stations. Okay, so we're going to kind of do the same thing again. We're going to take out anything that we know is not going to be the subject of the sentence. On the road, prepositional phrase, get it out of there. To the small town, prepositional phrase, don't worry about it. 2 gas stations. Okay. Of those words, who or what the sentence is about? Stations. Stations is the subject. So, since stations is the subject, it's third person plural, we're going to pick were. On the road to the small town were 2 gas stations. All right, C. Here is the more practical kinds of fabric. Okay, so let's see if we can eliminate some things to find our subject. We want to know who or what the sentence is about so we can pick the right verb form to match it. So, of fabric is a prepositional phrase, so I know that that is not my subject. I can take that out. Here is a demonstrative adjective, so I'm not going to worry about that. That's not going to be my subject. The more practical kinds. Okay, so of those words that I've got left, kinds is actually the subject of the sentence. Okay, the, more, and practical are all adjectives. So kinds is a collective noun that is the subject of this sentence. It's third person plural, so we're going to pick are. Here are the more practical kinds of fabric. D, we have there goes go, the leader of the rabble rousers. Okay, so of the rabble rousers is a prepositional phrase, so I'm not going to worry about that. That's not the subject of my sentence. There is a demonstrative adjective, so I'm not really going to worry about that either. The leader, then leader is my subject. Leader is third person singular, so I'm going to pick goes. There goes the leader of the rabble rousers. Just to let you know, rabble rousers are people who get everybody mad about a certain subject and kind of like whip them into a frenzy and like go demonstrate. And they're people who like to stir up trouble. And E, down the road comes trucks full of cement. Okay, so we're going to find the subject of our sentence by eliminating the things that are not the subject of our sentence. So, down the road, prepositional phrase, not the subject. Of cement, prepositional phrase, not the subject. So, that leaves me with trucks full. So, the subject of the sentence is trucks. Trucks is what the sentence is about. Trucks is third person plural, so I'm going to choose come. Down the road come trucks full of cement. Okay, so I hope this has been a good demonstration. I hope that you guys have a great time with subject-verb agreement part 2 and join me here later for more grammar. Bye, guys.